Welcome to Track Talk inside Formula One. I'm Nitin Balaji, and today we're diving into a side of Formula One that's rarely seen, the memento game. Beneath the helmets, beneath the tinted visors, and through the roar of engines lies something far more complex, the mindset of a Formula One driver. What does it really take to race at over 200 miles per hour? To make split-second decisions, to block out pressure and expectation, and to perform with surgical precision on the world's biggest motorsport stage. In this episode, we'll explore the psychology that drives the world's fastest racers. So buckle up and get ready to step inside the helmet. This is Track Talk inside Formula One. Formula One isn't just a test of engineering or athleticism, it's a psychological battlefield. Every time a driver gets behind the wheel, they're balancing on a mental tightrope. The margins are razor thin. One lapse in focus can end a race. One mistimed move can cause a crash. And unlike other sports, there are no timeouts, no substitutions, no do-overs. When the lights go out, you either deliver or you don't. Drivers are expected to perform at peak levels for nearly 2 hours in extreme conditions. The cockpit can reach temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius. Heart rates soar, adrenaline spikes, and all the while they're calculating braking distances, tire wear, fuel load, and pit strategy, all at 200 miles per hour. It's a sensory overload that would break most people, but for Formula One drivers, it's just another Sunday. Mental endurance is key. Focus isn't optional. Reaction times must be instinctive, not deliberate. Drivers train their minds as much as their bodies with neurofeedback drills, cognitive stimulators, and even meditation. Because the faster the car, the calmer the mind must be. And yet, it's not just about staying calm under pressure, it's about thriving in it. The best drivers don't just survive the chaos, they master it. While every driver on the grid faces the same pressures, not all of them handle it the same way. The mental approach in Formula One is as an individual as each racing style. Take Lewis Hamilton. For him, mindset is everything. He speaks openly about visualization, mindfulness, and affirmations. He prepares mentally before each race the same way he prepares physically, with intention, focus, and emotional grounding. For him, clarity and confidence are part of the toolkit that has helped him become one of the greatest of all time. Max Verstappen, on the other hand, is wired for simplicity. His mental strength comes from laser focus and emotional control. You rarely hear him talk about nerves or pressure. He believes in keeping things uncomplicated, trusting his instincts, driving with aggression, and tuning out everything else. It's part of what makes him so consistent and so dangerous on the track. Then there's Lando Norris, a driver who has broken the silence around mental health in motorsport. He's been honest about the struggles, the anxiety, the self-doubt, and the weight of expectations. But instead of hiding from it, he's owned it. And in doing so, he's helped shift the conversation in the paddock, showing that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's strength. But what does that kind of mental discipline actually look like? It's not just focus, it's sustained focus. It's not just confidence, it's confidence that survives under scrutiny, under failure, under global pressure. Formula One drivers operate in a space where they must be hyper-aware and yet emotionally neutral. They can't afford to panic. They can't afford to second guess. They can't even afford to celebrate for too long because the next corner is already here. Behind the visor, there's no room for distraction. Drivers train their brains to process data at speeds most people can't even comprehend. They're constantly adjusting breakpoints, steering angles, tire feedback, weather shifts, team radio. At 200 miles per hour, even a quarter second of hesitation could mean the end of a race or worse. And then there's the decision making. The best drivers don't just react, they anticipate. They read a race like a grandmaster reads a chessboard. They plan overtakes 3 corners in advance. They know when to defend, when to yield, when to push. And they make these decisions in real time, under physical duress, while managing the weight of an entire team's expectations. This isn't instinct, it's trained intuition. It's mental pattern recognition so deeply embedded that it becomes a second nature. That's why Formula 1 drivers spend hours in simulators, not just to rehearse tracks, but to sharpen their cognitive edge, so that when the real-world variables hit, wind, rain, pressure, noise, the brain doesn't freeze, it flows. Of course, not every challenge is technical. Sometimes it's emotional. Crashes, losses, public criticism. These don't just test a driver's skill, they test their resilience. Imagine spending months preparing for a race only for it to unravel in seconds because of something outside your control. A mechanical failure, a strategy call, another driver's mistake, and then having to stand in front of the world's cameras and answer for it. That's why emotional regulation is just as vital as reaction time. Many drivers work with sports psychologists. Some meditate, some visualize, some go completely quiet before a race. Each have their own way of building a mental armor, but all of them know that confidence is fragile, and momentum even more so. There's also the fear. It's always there, even if they never admit it. The risk is real. Accidents happen, bones break, careers end. Yet, Formula 1 drivers are experts at compartmentalization. They file the fear away because they have to. Not because they don't feel it, but because feeling it can get in the way of doing the job. The mind behind the visor is a paradox. Fiercely aggressive, yet calm. Emotionally intense, yet utterly detached. Focused not just on winning, but on not losing themselves in the process. That's what separates the elite from the rest. Not just who's fastest, but who's mentally unshakable when it matters most. That wraps up our deep dive into the mental strength behind the visor on Track Talk inside Formula 1. From the focus and fearlessness needed to race at 200 miles per hour, to the emotional resilience it takes to handle the pressure, the setbacks and the spotlight, the mindset of an F1 driver is every bit as vital as our speed. Thanks for joining us as we explore the psychology that fuels the world's best racers, their composure, their confidence, and the mental edge that separates champions from the rest. Stay tuned for more insights and stories from the fast-paced world of Formula 1. Until next time, keep your engines revving, stay safe, and tune in to our next episode.